Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Riv, and we got so many things to talk about. It's going to spill over to Monday because we got a lot of things cooking from the national level all the way down to the local. But CJ, we want to kick it off with something that we wanted to bring up on the last show, but we got all wound up on the issues as we always do. And but why don't you lead this off with the with that horrendous. Uh,
Well, as many people know by now, there was vandalism of the Iwo Jima Memorial down at the Bicentennial Park. I have a problem saying the Veterans Bicentennial Park because the park board has yet to rename the park. Um, I'm sticky like that. I don't know why, but I called Counselor Dion immediately after reports of the vandalism, and I said, "Weren't cameras put up?" Because I remember them saying cameras were put up. And she says, I vaguely remember that too. I said, so why is there such a problem identifying who they were? Thankfully, cameras were put up and they've caught two of the four um, perpetrators, alleged perpetrators, so far. They put disgusting things on the memorial. I'm not sure if anything was racist, but I know that there was phallic symbols and all kinds of things along those lines. So far, the two perpetrators who have been caught, or alleged perpetrators who have been caught, are 17 years old. So we're not going to get their names. But the videos were shown and showed their face. So if you know who they are, let us know. We'd love to find out. Um, but I think it's disgusting. People fought for your freedom. People fought and died. They gave the ultimate sacrifice so that you can live free. And this is how you repay them? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's disgusting. And if your children think that that's okay, you have a problem raising your children because they need to be corrected and they need to be corrected immediately because every veteran, alive or dead, deserves respect for what they've done. That's it.
well, obviously, veterans memorials have a special place in my heart. When I went to the Holocaust Museum in Washington D.C. to donate the pictures my father took at Buchenwald when he was one of the troops that liberated the first concentration camp liberated by United States forces in World War II. I went to all the memorials down there, the Vietnam Memorial, the World War II Memorial, all the memorials. It's a solemn place. It reminds us of the lives. And when I was in Hawaii, I went to the Punch Bowl Cemetery where a lot of the men who died in the South Pacific are buried. Um, this is what really, really pisses me off about this society and these libtard wokey Dems. They want to erase everything in history. If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. They don't want to talk about history, and they demean history, but then they repeat it. Society's out of control. We see crime in the streets. We see everything, and we see something like this. These bums. These, and I saw our mayor. Well, he had a lot of peas today, and he got on there, and I'm hoping, we know that he's not really good at math, but he's also, I guess he's not good at English too, because he said he wanted to see them persecuted to the full extent of the law. Not, it's prosecuted, Paul, prosecuted. I'm hoping it was a Freudian slip because I'd like to see them persecuted too. And I'll be totally frank. They're lucky. People are calling for community service. They're lucky I'm not the judge. You know how many people died on the island of Iwo Jima? They interviewed a guy. They interviewed a veteran, a Marine from Somerset, who said just that. Of course, it had special. It was special to him because it's a Marine Corps memorial. But he also said all military memorials, and people forget that. People forget the sacrifices that we have made. You drive by islands in Fall River that you see, and they don't stop to read the signs, like killed in action on the date and the war of Fall Riverites who died for their country. This is reprehensible behavior, and it is an indication of how far this society has fallen. The Democrats have managed to turn this place into a third world cesspool. People kicking police officers in the street because he touched his jacket, and get away from me. I saw the video. Now a body cam's been released. And illegal, wearing better clothes than I got, that I paid for. He touched his jacket and he's brushing the police off, and then he starts engaging the police when they were trying to move him. They have no regard for anything. They have no regard for anything. They have no character, they have no integrity, and they have no moral compass. And the only way to fix this is to go back to something really simple. The criminal justice system is to dispense justice, not be a rehab center. Put their asses in jail, stick them in jail, make jail difficult, and they won't want to go back. Nobody wants to go to jail in Japan. Nobody wants to go to jail in the Dominican Republic. I remember having a guide from the Dominican Republic when he was showing us around. He said, oh, there's the prison. He said, nobody wants to go there because a lot of people don't get out. They go there and they never come out alive. They come out feet first. The only way to control a society is have swift and just punishment, not persecution. Although some people do deserve to be persecuted. People who do what they did. And I don't want to hear they're 17 years old, they don't know. They should know. Because they should have taken American history in high school. And they don't teach that anymore. What do they teach? They teach everything but American history. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what they teach. Choose your gender. That's what they teach. And that's the undoing of a society. There's two ways to control a society. By force and by making them stupid. And for the last 30 years in colleges, they've been making everybody stupider. Because they don't study history. And if you don't know how you got here, you're going to go back the way you started. And with that, CJ, I'll turn that back. That's enough to say about this. They can't have a punishment severe enough for these two bozos. What they should do, what they should do is, in the old days, what they used to do to criminals and people in the National Guard who skipped meetings. You know how many people were in the military that went to court, and in the good old days, a judge said, listen, you asshole, but he didn't say asshole because you can't say that in a court of law. I just ad-libbed that, okay? So he'd say, listen, you know how many people I know? And I know some of these guys, because I know a lot of people that went to jail. They used to tell him, okay, you got a choice. I'll send you to jail, or you go down and enlist in the military. Some of them went to jail. Some of them went to the military. And guess what? When they got into the military, it straightened their ass out. They learned how to respect rank, take orders, and grow up. That's why I think this country should still have the draft. We should be like Israel. 2 years mandatory service for everybody when they turn 18. We wouldn't see what we have in the streets if some DI was sticking his foot up their ass. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
If we had mandatory service like a lot of countries do, it's not just Israel. Portugal has mandatory service. A lot of other communities, states, and countries have military service that you're required to do. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It puts people to work and it teaches them. Sometimes they learn a trade. Sometimes they learn something. Even if it's just to have respect for people, they learn something. But, we know what it's like to be persecuted because we have been persecuted. Because the mayor persecuted us. Now, maybe after 6 years in college or more and 30 years in education, you would think that an educator, who he supposedly is, would know the difference between prosecute and persecute. That's a simple distinction. And maybe it's time for you to go back to school, Paul, and learn. Or are you like Joe Biden and you just don't remember? I don't know. And that leads us into our next thing to get into. A bag of rotting oatmeal. The special report on the president came out yesterday. It's 388 pages long. I have a copy of it in front of me right now. I'm not going to read the 388 pages, but I will look at some of this and tell you right now, it's very interesting to see what happens. To put it all together and understand what was said by the special prosecutor, it was simple. He's not prosecuting the president. The reason he's not prosecuting the president is that he, unlike Donald Trump, turned the documents over willingly. And he will not prosecute the president because he's feeble. To quote him, he said, "I will not prosecute the president because he is a kindly old man who would generate sympathy with the jury because of his memory problems." And of course, the president goes on the air after that to rebut it. His campaign went on the air to rebut it, and he blew that one right out of the water because he proved it right off the bat. So, better to keep your mouth shut than to open it and remove all doubt, because you definitely removed all doubt yesterday.
Yeah, it's a travesty. We all knew it. I mean, the mainstream media has been covering up with him for the last year. He doesn't know where he is half the time. He can't find his way off the stage. And yesterday he proved it. They put him out in front. It's elder abuse what they're doing. They put him out there, and he just shit all over himself. He went out there to tell everybody there's nothing wrong with my memory, and he said that the president of Mexico and he called, and the name he used was the president of Egypt. And then he said they asked him about his son, and but his excuse was, I didn't want to answer. It's none of their business. Well, you have to answer questions when you're being interviewed for criminal activity. The special counsel did say he was guilty. Guilty of sharing top secret and classified documents with people when he was not the vice president or a senator. As a regular citizen, he committed a crime, but he can't be because he's not mentally fit, which really isn't true. It's what condition he was mentally when he did that. But look, we have a double standard of it. But then he got up there and he was going to say, don't tell me about my son, and this, I wear his rosary from Saint something. And then he went on. Couldn't remember that either. I mean, he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, he hasn't been the president. Just like we don't have a mayor, persecute, not prosecute. We got mini Joe Biden in this city. And it's not only a tragedy, you got to feel bad for him. Look, I know a lot of 90-year-olds that are sharp as a tack. Some people, unfortunately, have cognitive issues sometimes even earlier than him in life. I know an individual who started deteriorating in his early 60s. By the time he was in his late 60s, it's a sad, sad thing. But what's scary is this guy is supposed to be the president of the United States and running it. And he proved beyond a shadow of a doubt he can't. He can't. He's incapable of running it. So where do we go from here? Democrats are going to cover it up. You had Blumenthal, of all people, a guy who didn't even remember, his military service and lied about it. He said, oh, he's fine. And then that other idiot, Kelly, oh, I talked to him for hours. I think they talked to themselves. But listen, it's pretty apparent he can't walk. His gait, he's impaired. That is a personal tragedy. But he's supposed to be the leader of the free world and leading this country, and he's destroyed it in one term. That's inexcusable. So we got to hit that. But the next thing we do is about destroying the city. I have a copy of a letter that was sent to some of these businesses that were getting their trash picked up. And I will read you just a short piece of it. This is the important piece. As of March 1st, 2024, the city of Fall River will no longer provide curbside collection of solid waste and recyclables to businesses in the city of Fall River. Now here's the sentence that really bothers me. The city has previously provided this curbside collection as a service to businesses. There's an ordinance against providing that service. And our mayor knowingly provided that service. And where's the accountability of our mayor? I know Michelle Dion's been complaining about this for as long as they sent him a resolution and they never followed up on it. Stop doing this. And I will remind everybody that this started with about 70 businesses. Now there are over 300. Who put the other 230 plus businesses on that list? How did they get on that list? Why did they get on this list? There are more than 300 businesses in Fall River. Why weren't they on that list? Who did they know? Who did they pay? You think they're going to investigate it? No! No! They're not going to investigate it. Because they don't care. They wasted our tax money, paid for these, and said they provided it to these businesses knowingly. Not whoops, stop it. No, screw the taxpayer. We'll just keep paying for their recyclables and their solid waste. No accountability. No accountability. And especially with Paul Coogan. As a matter of fact, they're the anti-accountability administration. They keep wanting less and less accountability. Let's not have a public hearing on the lawsuits because they might hold us accountable. And I'm going to remind you of the track record of this city. 22 windows. Some in the mayor's office. We never solved that case, did we? No accountability. Mayor goes, oh, I didn't know they were putting windows in, even though they put them in your office. The sitting mayor at the time, Frank. 22 windows. Whoops. Who gives a shit? It's only the taxpayer money. Now we're picking up another 230 businesses, trash, paying for it out of our tax dollars. Are they looking for an investigation? No. And the only reason they stopped it is because they can't afford it anymore. And if we still had ARPA money, he'd still be freaking picking it up for his friends. If that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what should piss you off. Because this is outrageous. And to make it worse, they're going to try it again. The CFO has now saying that she wants department heads to be able to write their own purchase orders with no oversight. In Fall River? Are you nuts? You're going to let a department head buy anything he wants with no oversight, even though that's statutorily required, by the way. We saw what John Perry did, going out rogue, and they prosecuted him, not persecuted him, but they prosecuted him for it. They brought him up. He was doing things on his own. He went rogue. Listen, department heads can run a department. When they buy stuff, the city better have not one, not two, but 3 checks and balances for that shit, because they never can find any money. They don't know what happened. They paid for 22 windows that nobody knows how we got. They pay for everything that they know. They never know where it's coming from. And they don't care, because they're not paying for it. You are. We are. And this is what they want to do. And now he's complaining about all the money because they blew it. And our illustrious guys like Brad come, oh, we're going to have a lot of tough decisions. Yeah, how about doing what the Constitution says? Being accountable to the people you represent. And holding every employee in the city to be accountable. Not make them less accountable. This is an outrage. Absolute out. The way this city is being run, it's being run into the ground. I mean, Coogan took the Joe Biden blueprint and ran this city right down the toilet, just like Biden did to the country. And with that, back to you.
What's very interesting is that this is just the beginning. If you watched the subcommittee meeting on environmental issues and you listened to Attorney Matt Thomas, he said that this would start. Well, I should correct that. We're thinking about making changes that will start in 2-week intervals. And that included potentially bags and trash fees, collection fees. Now, we've started with the business trash, which for several administrations, well, actually 2, was happening because James Correa put in the attachment H, which lists the initial 70 people or 70 businesses. And then I guess Paul added to that, or somebody did, or Paul's administration did. So remember, Paul, you always said, I follow the law, but I follow the law. The law says that you cannot pick up business trash. That is a city ordinance. And it took you how many years to start to follow it? Almost 5 years. 5 years for you to turn around and say, well, it is an ordinance and I'll start doing it. No, you didn't do it because of that. You did it because the bottom line is you don't have the bottom line. You don't have the money. And you're now going to take it out on the taxpayer because this could happen. Maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in 4 weeks, maybe in 6 weeks. And remember, Linda Pereira wants it. She wants the bags now. She wants the bags. And if you don't use the bags, they're going to fine you by putting it on your tax bill as a miscellaneous municipal service, which denies you your right of due process. But that's okay. Who cares about the law? This is what you may be looking at. You may be looking at it because remember, you voted for Paul Coogan. I didn't. I didn't vote for Paul Coogan, but you did. You did. You wanted him because he's a nice guy. I haven't seen the nice guy. I don't know who you're looking at, but I haven't seen him yet. And that's the sad part about it. And we're going to see in the next couple of weeks, maybe a month, how they're going to treat the taxpayer because they need money to meet the expenses that Paul has created with the addition of 63 new employees in the school department, a failing school department, and 40 or some odd number of new city employees, assistants to the assistants to the assistants. And the CFO has admitted she needs an assistant because she can't do the job. She can't do the job. So we're going to hire people who don't know how to do the job. And that's okay. Who cares? It's only city money. Remember that. Remember that when you look at this and say, well, Paul, you screwed us. Thank you very much. And when you see him on the street, go up to him and say, hey, look, Paul, kiss the governor's ass all you want. You're screwing me, the taxpayer, because that's what's happening.
Oh, that is so true, CJ. But you're screwing us in more ways than one. And Linda was right. Nice guy, my foot. That's the image that Paul likes to portray. The nice guy that jumps out of his car and screams at some woman. But he's a nice guy. Don't you want to go to heaven? Come on, just why don't you be a little bit more like me? Yeah, be a backstabber and take out people. Throw everybody off that doesn't agree with you off every committee and use every way to manipulate the law to get more power. You're a typical Democrat. No wonder you get along good with Wokey Healy and Wokey Jakey because you're just like them. And the irony of this, CJ, is that it's not they're screwing us every which way but Sunday. Yeah, we're going to pay. We're going to pay more taxes. We're going to pay more fees. We're going to be getting bags. We're going to be getting everything. And you know something? Nobody's going to ask how Paul managed to put all these other new people on a payroll. Nobody's going to have an investigation about that. City Council not going to say anything. Little Paulie Hart, little Brady Kilby, all the little bobbleheads, they're all going to sit there. They're all going to sit there and just shut their mouth and just remember everybody will forget. But they're not now. You're picking our pockets. And you're adding our pockets because remember, not everybody's going to pay all these taxes. Paulie's over there giving tiffs and ties to all his pals. Shifting that money over to who? Us. Somebody's got to pay the taxes. They're saving 80% of their taxes. Guess who's paying for it? We are. They don't just erase that from the budget. That's factored in. They don't pay, we pay. And we're getting screwed on the assessments. Monday's show, we are going to have one of our regular contributors, Nelson Vasquez, is going to be on the show. He has uncovered some amazing numbers that he's going to run by us. Numbers that allegedly, and I will say allegedly, because we're going to see them on Monday, and we're going to see where he got them from, and everybody can check, because unlike Paul, we don't generalize. He will be specific. Supposedly, he has major disparities in assessments for these houses. these businesses more pointedly, but houses too. Businesses that are actually have gotten assessments that are lower. Who in this city, anybody in this city whose house got assessed at a lower price than it was in your preliminary bill or it was before, please send us your name and the property. I know that I held up my preliminary tax bill and my real tax bill, and my house was more than doubled in its assessed value, more than doubled. And most people were. As a matter of fact, the individual who sent me that letter, their taxes went up $3,000. And this is the problem. And the individual who owns some of these individuals own these properties, we may have to call in the feds, because some of these numbers, and I've looked at them briefly, and I don't have the full scope. Nelson's been putting together a presentation, but you can't tell me that a property that was worth $4 million 4 years ago and hasn't been totally ignored, and even if it was, is only worth $1 million now? Oh, wait a minute. How's that possible? Prices all over the country are going crazy. Housing prices and everything. Breaking the housing market. Nobody can afford houses anymore. You're paying $400,000 for a one bedroom or something. It's crazy. But some rich guy gets his property now assessed at less than it was 3 or 4 years ago. That we have buildings with 48 market rate housing units in it being assessed lower than places with 20 market rate housing units and far less square footage. I'm telling you guys, tune in on Monday. Monday's going to be, we're going to have a lot to talk about on Monday, and I think that before this is over, I think the taxpayers are going to end up having to file something with the governor, with the attorney general, with maybe even go to court and say, listen, we want, go to the feds, because this is just, it's crazy. I mean, this is nuts. And they just continue to cover it up like Biden covered up all his stuff, and then they don't prosecute them. They're in power, and they don't get prosecuted. Hillary had 33,000 emails she destroyed, bleached them all, smashed the phones, destroyed the computers. Well, we're not going to prosecute, even though she did something wrong and had classified documents. We're not going to prosecute. Biden, she had top secret information with somebody with no clearance when he wasn't even when he wasn't even a government official any longer. He wasn't a senator before he became vice president. No, we're not going to prosecute him. He's not mentally fit to be prosecuted, even though he committed a crime. But Donald Trump, wait a minute, he was the president. We're going to prosecute him, though, because he's mentally competent. Well, number one, it's all bullshit. We're getting it, and we're getting it bad. And this is only the beginning. Because when Diamond comes home to roost, that's the end of the city. This budget, they're robbing from everybody. They're implementing everything they can, stealing every nickel they can. And they're still going to have trouble. And when Diamond comes in, there's no way out. We're toast. Like I said, even going back to destroying the retirement system. From 2002 to 2012, they wrecked this system by paying far less than they could have and should have. And brought us from above the middle to the third worst retirement system in the state. The two retirement systems that are worse than ours are Springfield and the Boston Teachers, then Fall River. They tanked it. And now they want to do the same thing, and he's going to try to put one of his stooges in there to get that third vote so he can begin to do it again. And the only people that will suffer will be the active employees and the retirees, because once they break that system, and they will, maybe we'll get to be 351st out of 351 again. They will cut the benefits of the retirees, the people who need it the most. And with that, CJ, I think there's just so much going on. I can't wait till Monday. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, well, I got while I was in the back room, I got a phone call from Larry Curley and Mo's agent. They'd like a job. I think one of them on the retirement board might make for good comedy. So, just a couple of quick notes. Not that I am a big fan of Mr. Chris. Nick Chris has been promoted to president and CEO of the Bay Coast Mortgage Company. On top of everything else, he's president and CEO of. And Maura Healey has put in her ex domestic partner for a position on the Supreme Judicial Court. Tell me that's not a little bit of nepotism. And she said they're still friends. You know, that's got to be a first. That's got to be a first, because most people who break up, they're not friends. They're civil, but they're not friends. But she has an excellent record on the appeals court, so she may very well be qualified to take a position on the Supreme Judicial Court. But the problem I have with it is it's another Wokey. It's going to be another Wokey. So again, we're going to be paying through the nose for everything under the sun. And who cares? It's not our problem. That's what they're saying. Well, I want to thank you for watching. Enjoy your Super Bowl this weekend. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a wonderful day.